JOAO Pedro's delightful double delivered Liam Rosenior his first statement night as Chelsea manager. The Brazilian striker bagged one screamer and a cool winner to dig the Blues out of trouble in Naples and safely into the last 16. Sign up for the Chelsea newsletter. Thank you. JOAO Pedro scored a brilliant double to win Chelsea the match credit. Reuters. Enzo Fernandez opened the scoring credit. PA. Pedro unleashed a beauty from distance for his second credit. Getty. Rosenior has faced a frantic start to life at Chelsea since replacing Enzo Maresca earlier this month. A slew of games as well as an uncertain fanbase waiting for a reason to rebuke him. Overcoming Antonio Conte to confirm Napoli's Champions League exit should give them reason to support him instead. Results-wise, the 41-year-old had already made a strong start, but the fixture list has been kind. A narrow loss to Arsenal is the only defeat, but wins have come over Championship Charlton, Minnows Paphos, just about, and in the Premier League Brentford and a struggling Crystal Palace. Facing Chelsea's last title-winning manager was never going to result in a comfortable night for Rosenior, but this could prove a pivotal result for the new man in charge. They squandered the lead given to them by Enzo Fernandez, conceding goals from Antonio Vergara and Rasmus Højlund in quick fashion before Pedro sprung a second-half rescue mission after Rosenior had realized his mistake. The new Blues boss rolled the dice with an experimental team, naming Wesley Fofana as the only recognized central defender in an unusual back three shape for the Blues. Fofana needed to lead but instead delivered a shocking first-half display, at fault for both of Napoli's goals in embarrassing fashion. Most read in Champions League. Best free bets and betting sign-up offers. Chelsea had been in such a strong position before his solo calamity struck twice in 10 minutes. The Blues were handed a fortunate opener, awarded a controversial spot kick after a Reece James free kick was deemed to have struck the hand of Juan Jesus in the wall, though it was heavily contested. But VAR raised no serious objection, allowing Fernandez to convert low and left from the spot. Chelsea had the ideal situation, safely on their way to the last 16 with a lead against an injury-depleted and out-of-form Napoli. But they could not build from their position of strength, let alone defend it. James was needed to block from Matthias Oliveira before Robert Sanchez denied Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Fofana's first blunder came at the hands of a striker who had never scored for Napoli and started just once in the Champions League before now. After Oliveira beat a sleepy Moises Caicedo to a loose ball, Vergara set off and left the Ecuador midfielder scrambling on the floor. The forward then spun Fofana with ease, the defender simply watching him go, before squeezing a fine finish low into the far corner. The leveler emptied the Napoli bench to join the celebration as their chances of reaching the knockouts were revived. The hosts kept the pressure up too, Scott McTominay laying off for Vergara who shot high and wide. Chelsea ratings versus Napoli. JOAO Pedro the hero but Fofana at fault for both goals as 5 Blues players score a 2/10. JOAO Pedro inspired a brilliant Chelsea turnaround in Naples, qualifying for the round of 16 in thrilling style. The Italian side, managed by Antonio Conte, hadn't been beaten in their own backyard since December 2024. That was until Chelsea came to town. A Rasmus Højlund goal for the hosts had sent Liam Rosenior's side in at halftime 2-1 down and facing an unwanted playoff tie. Rosenior hooked the disappointing Pedro Neto at halftime as he rung the changes, and it made all the difference. Cole Palmer set up JOAO Pedro to score a wonder goal he will struggle to better in the rest of his days. And the Brazilian then found the back of the net again with 7 minutes still to play to send Chelsea into the top 8. This is how Sunsport Chelsea reporter Lloyd Canfield rated the players, but Chelsea could not get a grip and were soon stunned once again, thanks to another defensive lapse. Eljif Elmas fed the troublesome Oliveira down Chelsea's left, allowing the wing-back to cross to the near post where Fofana allowed Højlund to cross him to tap in off the post. It was the Dane's 10th goal for the club since departing Manchester United to revive his career. Rosenior's gamble was being brutally exposed. But instead of turning for another defender at the break, the new Chelsea boss sent on Cole Palmer, back in the squad after missing the last 2 games with another injury complaint. Before the hour mark, with Napoli still dictating, Rosenior eventually added a second centre-back, replacing Andre Santos with Trevor Chalobah. Chalobah's entrance allowed Chelsea to shuffle back into their usual back 4 shape, and with their next attack the Blues were level courtesy of Pedro's corker. Palmer collected the ball and fed Pedro 25 yards out with his back to goal. With just 2 touches the Brazilian had teed himself up on the edge of the box and thumped a left-footed strike beyond Alex Merritt. The tactical tweak, albeit obvious, had Chelsea looking far more comfortable and dangerous, with Palmer causing trouble after a number of anonymous appearances when fit. It was generous to call his pass for Pedro's first an assist, but he played a bigger part in the second. Wriggling out of trouble in his own half and finding Fernandez, Palmer exchanged a fine 1-2 with Pedro before the striker set off seeking a 4th goal in as many games. Recommended stories. And just as Chelsea fans were groaning at being told they would be penned in the Stadio Diego Maradona after full-time, their number 20 flipped the mood. Alejandro Garnacho, a second-half substitute, was the obvious ball for Pedro to play to his left, but the striker backed himself and let loose a cool low finish into the far corner, steering the Blues away from a troublesome playoff and into the top 8 of the Champions League table. Rasmus Højlund got on the scoresheet for Napoli credit. AFP. Chelsea have qualified for the knockout rounds credit. AFP. Comments.